Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for November 8, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, Prime Minister urges Parliament to pass tougher laws to target criminal gangs. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has urged the House of Representatives to pass tougher legislation to crack down what he described as terrorist acts being committed by members of criminal gangs across the island. Speaking during Tuesday afternoon's sitting of the House, Mr. Holness disclosed that the horrific triple murder in Salt Springs, St. James, stemmed from an ongoing gang feud. 7-year-old Justin Perry, 9-year-old Nakaliva Smith, and 26-year-old Tevin Hill died after being shot in a taxi along the Flower Hill Main Road in Salt Spring on Monday.
The people who are responsible are gang members, and they have used high-powered weapons indiscriminately in a public space with what can only be assumed to be the intention to create fear and panic in the country, to create outside of the locality of the event a national fear. In my opinion, Madam Speaker, it is the equivalent of a terrorist act, and these criminals ought to be described and treated in that form. We have passed a new firearms bill. In the process of its implementation, there would appear that further review of the bill would be necessary to align penalties and to ensure that the strongest unequivocal signals are sent to the criminal elements, particularly those who use dangerous weapons, illegal weapons, such as high-powered guns, indiscriminately, and kill our children, that they will face the severest penalty applicable under the law. I have given directives to the Minister of National Security and the Minister of Justice to bring the necessary amendments to the Firearms Act to ensure that there is no ambiguity, no lack of clarity in the application of the penalties recommended by this House.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Mark Golding has also condemned the killing of the two boys and called for the government to meet with the opposition to discuss the crisis facing the country. Responding in Parliament Tuesday afternoon, Mr. Golding said his party is ready to meet at the table with Prime Minister Andrew Holness to discuss a crime plan.
This is not the time to be seeking to score political points. We must come together as a nation and find a solution to this problem of violent crime that has been a scourge on our nation for so long. I call on the government to return to the Crime Monitoring and Oversight Committee, that bipartisan arrangement which was set up in 2019, so that all stakeholders can together brainstorm and come up with solutions to the problem of violent crime in Jamaica. For nearly a year or so, the government has not been involved in those discussions. It is time to come back to the table so we can work together and see where we can find common ground to find positive solutions that can make a difference. The strategies currently being employed of much higher sentences in the law are not yet bearing fruit. And in the meantime, we must be able to find solutions within the confines of the Constitution that can make a positive difference for our people. We must respect the hard-won rights and freedoms that are protected in our Constitution, while at the same time devising effective strategies that can tackle this issue that is plaguing our land. I am ready and willing to work with the government towards positive change in this area.
Child survivor recalls a deadly taxi attack. A youngster who escaped death on Monday evening when a taxi cab he was traveling in came under attack from gunmen, recalling having to duck his head to escape the raining bullets, which killed 2 students and an adult male. The child, who was recalling the fear and horror during the attack along the Flower Hill Main Road in St. James, moved several persons within earshot to tears as he related his ordeal on Tuesday. Among those listening were National Security Minister Dr. Harris Chang, Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson, and other members of the security forces who toured the troubled community. 4 children and 2 adults were traveling in the vehicle, which was transporting students from school, when the car was fired upon by gangsters aiming at a target who was a passenger. The shooting is believed to be linked to the ongoing gang war in the area. 2 students, 7-year-old Justin Perry and 9-year-old Nakaliva Smith, both of the Chetwood Memorial Primary, were fatally wounded, along with 26-year-old Tevin Hill. On Tuesday, a somber atmosphere engulfed the Montego Bay-based school as the students, staff, and the parents mourned as the Ministry of Education initiated grief counseling. Justin's mother, Althea Erskine, had to be taken to the hospital for medical observation and treatment as the grief overcame her. Nakaliva's mother, Natalie Haven-Smith, said she would have preferred if it was her life that was taken by the murderers instead. Both boys are the youngest in their families. The women have mothered other children who have gone to the teenage and adulthood stages and were just enjoying time with their wash bellies. Haven-Smith, acting principal at a primary school, revealed that she has been crying non-stop since she learned of her son's death. She said that while she has no vengeance in her heart, she knows that the killer's days will be bitter. They are going to beg for mercy, and mercy not going to answer them. The same way me stay up last night and couldn't sleep is the same way them never sleep, she cried, wondering aloud how she would find the strength to attend Nakaliva's funeral and lay him to rest. Haven-Smith believes her son gave her a sign on Monday when he didn't eat before going to school. He was probably fasting for his death because he kept saying he was not hungry, she muttered. Nakaliva was one of the most well-behaved children at his school, and just as his mother cried as she remembered him, so too did his classmates. For Erskine, the tragedy was just as devastating, as she recalled how she begged the driver not to pass her home with her son, owing to the gang war that has erupted between gangsters in Salt Spring and Flower Hill. The driver didn't listen, said the mother of three, her other children being a 17-year-old son and a 20-year-old daughter. For much of Tuesday, Erskine was in a state of shock, seemingly in a trance and barely able to speak. Senior Superintendent of Police Vernon Ellis, head of the St. James Police Division, has offered the Jamaica Constabulary Force a chaplaincy to provide counseling to the families, which he admitted is not normal but very necessary owing to the extraordinary circumstances. He said that the police would assist the families in getting the postmortems done. This is a partnership as they go through this current stage in their lives. We are going to identify a liaison officer that will provide communication between them and the police department, Ellis stated. EOJ close to target of 28,000 election day workers. The Electoral Office of Jamaica says it is close to meeting its target of 28,000 election day workers for the upcoming local government elections. Director of Elections Glasspool Brown says that the integrity of the electoral system depends on the quality of election day workers. As such, Mr. Brown is appealing to Jamaicans to apply to become election day workers.
So far, the response has been very good. We're close to our target, but we continue to recruit because we have to go through a process of training these individuals. Just at the end of the day, after training, there are a number of them that might not meet the standard, and therefore we continue the process. But then the response has been encouraging, and we hope to meet our targets and be able to have everything in place by when election is called. Every Jamaican should have a preference, but you should not be an activist, and your preference should not cloud your impartiality when you undertake this work as a presiding officer or a poster. So we're not looking for persons who are activists, who are part of the bandwagon in terms of the political party. But even though you might have a preference, but you should not publicly demonstrate that preference in terms of if you want to be a part of our team.